Hey guys, what's going on? My name is Travis, and today I'm going to be showing you something kind of cool. This is the Windows Admin Center, and this is a new modern way to manage Windows servers. So right now you're just looking at my desktop, but let me bring over a new core server that I just got installed here. So if you're not familiar with Windows Core, it is a very lightweight version of Windows. It doesn't have a GUI. This is the main interface of it here. As you can see, it's asking me to change my password. So we're going to do that in just a minute. But I want to take a quick moment to kind of talk about Windows Admin Center. And this is a new way to manage your Windows environment. And this is really helpful, especially if you have core servers, but of course it will manage your Windows Server 2016 and 2019 servers that have a GUI, even some of your Windows desktops. And it'll also manage your older servers as well, as long as you update some of the components on that. And there's different ways to do that, but I won't really get into that in this video. But I kind of wanted to show this to you because it makes life so much easier, especially when you have a central place to kind of manage everything. So you can get it if you just Google Windows Admin Center, and you'll find this, and this is where you download it. It's completely free. And there's different installation scenarios that you can set up, so you can have this on a central location that you log into. Or if you're like me and you just want to run it off of your main computer to access everything locally, you can do that as well, and that's what I have set up. Now, the Windows Admin Center runs in Edge, so if you use Firefox or Chrome, your mileage may vary. I haven't gotten it to work on Firefox yet, but I just use everything in Edge just because it's easy. I've already added a server here, and this one is one of my domain controllers, and this is running the standard version of Windows Server 2019. So if we just click on it, I've already added it here. It's going to take us to the overview, and this is really nice because you get to see the computer name, the domain name, what OS we're running, the uptime, the utilization. We can see what's going on with the Ethernet. And if we look on the side here, we can manage everything on this server from this web page. And that's really kind of cool. It makes things a little bit easier. And that's why I really like to manage my environment with Windows Admin Center. Now, this is my lab environment. So I only have one server added right now, but in production I have all my servers added. It makes things so much easier to do, so that way I don't have to RDP to servers. I don't have to, kludge around with remote admin tools or anything like that. I can just come in here, click on the server that I want, and go right to what I need. So let's go back to my core here. And it's saying I didn't change the password fast enough, so let's give it a Control-Alt-Delete. And let's change the password, and we'll get this server added into our environment. If it's going to, there we go. So let's add a password. All right. So if this is how you're managing your core environment, it's kind of a pain, right? As you can see, we just have this alternate shell. It's really just a command prompt like this, and there's not a lot we can do here. But let me grab the IP address of the server. So it's 10.200.1.30. And we're going to add this to Admin Center, and I'm going to show you how you can actually install things and configure things in this without having to mess around with this command prompt environment. So let's get this guy out of the way. Let's go back to Windows Admin Center. We're going to go to Add a Connection, and we're going to go to Servers. And we're going to enter our server name, which is just going to be 10.201.30. It's going to take a second here. go. Let's get this guy out of the way. Other user. So we're going to sign into my domain here. So administrator. Oops. Guess this works just like the regular Windows login. Okay, let's get this guy out of the way. Now let's see if it'll connect. Yep, now it's going to connect. There we go. Okay, so once you get a machine added, it does take some time. The one complaint that I have is Windows Admin Center does run very slow, so you do have to be patient with it. So you can see it's still loading the overview. There we go. So we can see that's running Server 2019 standard. We got all of our options here. This looks just like the other server that we had that I showed you. So let's take a look at some of these options to see, what we can do. So instead of, trying to remember commands and run things through our command prompt here, we're just going to manage our server right here through a web interface. So you can see our free disk space. We have 142 gigs free. We can see our CPU utilization, our RAM utilization. We got 8 gigs. So let's go to files. This is a file browser. So as you can see, we have our setup CD mounted, and then we also have our C drive. So if we expand out our C drive, if we go to documents and settings, you can see we have our this is just for legacy, but all this stuff is really mapped to the users. We go to our administrator folder. You can see we have our pictures and all this fun stuff in here. So if we go to expand this out, if I go to documents, and again, all this stuff is in here for legacy reasons. So in documents, I can do new folder. We'll create a Hello World folder. And there we go. So if I needed to transfer documents or anything to this server, I can actually open up Hello World. Yeah, so we can upload a file. All right, so, and then, we can add files and whatnot to our server this way. Makes it easier. We can also manage the firewall from here as well. Again, everything takes a while to load. It's one of the annoyances that I have with Windows Admin Center. It doesn't matter how many resources you give it, it just runs slowly. So we can see any incoming rules here. We can add rules, delete rules, modify rules. We can also see what's installed on the server. And of course we have nothing installed. We can also modify local users and groups. If we want to change our network settings, we can also do that from here as well. This makes it a little bit easier. You'll also notice that there's a lot of Azure stuff here. Azure File Sync, Backup uses Azure. We have our Azure Network Adapter Preview. And that's also because this allows you to manage your Azure servers as well. And it also lets you kind of convert your on-prem servers to back up into Azure for disaster recovery. So it's these really neat little things. Again, PowerShell. This will actually open up PowerShell prompt right here. And we just need to authenticate. And there we go. So if I do, I don't really know too much PowerShell at the moment to kind of give you an idea, but there we go. We have a PowerShell prompt directly through here. We can see what's going on with our processes. So if something's hanging, we can, end the process from here. We can see what's going on with our CPU. If we know CPU utilization is really high, the idle process is the only thing that's really sucking up CPU, because this is a core installation. Registry comes in handy. This beats having to go through the registry editor locally and connecting to remote machine. You can see we can import, we can export, we can add keys, rename, delete. So just like we were actually using the registry editor. Remote desktop, this of course gives us a remote desktop RDP session to the server. I can show you that on an actual GUI server, but in this case it's really not going to show us too much. We're just going to accept the certificate. It's going to complain about the password. We're not going to get into that too much because this again is running core and there's really not a desktop to remote into. So the easy way to add roles and features. Traditionally, you have the server manager, the GUI-based server manager that you can kind of add roles that you need. Here, it's a little bit different. You can see all the roles just sort of laid out for us. We can see what's available, what's not, what's been installed, what hasn't. So if we go here to PowerShell, we can see that the PowerShell 2.0 engine has been removed, but Windows PowerShell 5.1 is installed. Let's say we want to install PowerShell Web Access, so we can just tick that box right there. It gives us some details about it. We hit install. It's going to go through, find out what we need to install. And again, this runs really slow. There we go. So it's going to tell us that all these features are going to be enabled. Let's hit yes. And it's going to go ahead and start the installation. We can actually watch it from here, or we can, of course, just go about our way. We could check out scheduled tasks, see what's going on. Again, it runs really slow, so you have to be patient with it. There we go. So we have no scheduled tasks, but it's really easy to create a folder, enable, disable. We get our storage, our services, and updates. This is something I really, really like. So especially on core, there's no way to really kind of see what updates are needed. You can just run this, and it's actually going to check for updates. So let's see what comes back as. So there we go, we have some updates, and we can actually modify our update settings, so we can pick what we want to do. Download updates, but let me choose whether to install them. Oh, look at that, successfully installed. So let's go check this out real quick. So if we go to roles and features, and we go to PowerShell, expand this, and there we go, it's installed. So now if I just go to okay, cool. All right, don't know what's going on there, but anyways, so that's how easy it is to kind of manage your core servers through the Windows Admin Center. So this is a really neat piece of software. It kind of gives you a little help, I should say, just trying to manage things, because it does get a little confusing. So let's take a look at our DC. And again, this is, you have to keep authenticating. Oops, if I could spell administrator right. Again, you have to keep it authenticating. You can't save the credentials yet, which would be so helpful. So this is my DC, and again, if we go to remote desktop here, again, it's really slow. So I don't know if there's a big benefit to connecting to the remote desktop there here, especially because it always fails on this credential check, and it's just easier to pop open remote desktop if you needed to go there. So there it is. We're connecting. There's your desktop. And you'll see it is kind of laggy. It's a little slower than normal remote desktop, but there we go. Anyway, so thank you so much for watching this. If you have any suggestions for future videos, please leave them in the comment section below, and I will try to make them. Please give this video a thumbs up if it helped you, and thanks for watching.